This is a video I've always debated with myself about making because it is a bit of a personal subject, but I told myself that I would be open and honest on this channel and not hold back. So, one of my vices, and a lot of guys' vices as they're growing older, is self-gratification. And that's something that I really struggled with. And I know it's not a special case because a lot of guys struggle with it as well. And we've all been through that same cycle of trying to quit. I've tried before to stop, and it lasts for maybe a couple weeks and then just get right back to it. And there's people out there who say it's not detrimental to your productivity or your health, and I believe them, but I know it is. I didn't realize how bad it was until I was in a relationship and I told my girlfriend that I watched porn, and that I pleased myself in that way. And she had such an adverse reaction to it. She was just totally taken aback. And somebody that I obviously cared deeply about. And to see her hurt in that way, she was so offended that I was looking at other girls and getting myself off of them. And it just really opened my eyes to how disgusting self-gratification really is. And what it does, and it seems so inconsequential, but if you're in a relationship, you should only be looking at one girl, and that should be your girlfriend. And if you're watching porn, essentially what you're saying is that my girlfriend is not good enough, or I'm not satisfied with my girlfriend, and that leads to infidelity and disloyalty. And that's not something that I ever want to have a problem with in any relationship of mine. And so from that moment on, I haven't watched porn. And it's been over 2 months, almost 3 months now. I think even since I was in high school, a lot of my identity was found through talking to girls and getting girls and being with girls. And it took me so long to realize that. It just felt like if I wasn't talking to a girl or wasn't with one, I'd feel very alone. I'd feel not like myself, and I'd feel invalidated in a way, because being with them did give me some sort of validation. Ever since high school, I feel like every single waking moment I had to be talking to a girl in some way, whether it be at a party or on Tinder or through text or an Instagram DM. Always had to be a girl involved in my life in some way or another. But that made me create very meaningless relationships. And I was, in a sense, using these girls to validate myself. And I didn't care about their feelings. And so I have hurt girls in the past before. And I used to do it with no remorse. It's a scary thing. I would just leave or ghost them, or lead them on and then ghost them and act like nothing had happened. And that is a very disrespectful, disgusting game to play. And so last year, I knew that sex and girls were controlling my life. I feel like my brain chemistry was magnetized towards them and sex. And I would always be on the hunt for it, or, you know, looking for the next girl to be with. And so I decided that I was going to be celibate for an entire year. And what started out as a joke with my friend ended up being this sort of like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong thing. And so for the past year, I've been celibate. I've abstained from sex for almost an entire year now. April 14th will be a full year. And it's been such a long journey of growth and of learning for myself. At first, I thought I could do everything but sex, and that would be okay. Because technically, with the bet I made with my friend, I just couldn't have sex. So I was trying to find a loophole around it. So that for me was doing everything but. But I was still engaging the same behaviors and same patterns and habits that I was trying to get away from. And so what was the point of making the bet in the first place, or saying I was even going to go celibate? I did that for a while, for like a few months. Then I realized it's like, no, I got to put my foot down. Maybe I could do everything but sex, but it has to be with somebody that I care about deeply and that I see a future with. Okay, and then I started seeing somebody, and I would still, watch porn and self-gratify, and I would also, do things with my girlfriend, but just not sex. So I thought that was okay. But deep down in my head, it felt like I just had to get away from being pleased in that way altogether. Like deep down, I would still do these things and I'd let it slide. But then in a way, I felt a little bit guilty because it still went against the whole point of this pact that I made for myself. Oh, another thing I wanted to say was that I know I used the physical aspects of a relationship. I know I used physical intimacy to make up for the lack of feelings that I had for these girls. And so if I were physically intimate with a girl, it would very much expedite and exaggerate my feelings that I had towards them. So what I was feeling was not the emotional, intellectual connection. I was feeling just a physical connection, but I was mistaking that for the emotional and intellectual connection, if that makes sense. So I would tell myself that I liked these girls, and that I was, into them, and saw a relationship with. I could foresee a relationship with them, but in reality, that was just because I enjoyed the physical intimacy. And so that was another big reason why I had to step away from sex. It was only until a couple months ago that I realized that I had to step away from watching porn, and I saw how detrimental it was to my life and to my relationship. I also started to understand how bad self-gratification was, and so I've stopped that completely. And for the past almost 2 months now, I haven't engaged in that activity at all. I mean, it's been hard. It really has, because I've been this way ever since I was like 13 or 12 when I started watching porn, and this just becomes part of your brain chemistry, and it's so difficult to escape from it and to detach from that part of you when it's essentially part of who you are, because you're doing it so frequently and it just becomes a habit. And so in the past couple months, I have struggled. There's periods of time where I don't deal with any sort of temptation or urge at all. But the past couple of days, I have been dealing with that, and it's been very difficult. And I've been looking down on myself for doing so, which I guess is fair, but also, I could be doing better of avoiding those things. This all goes to say that this past year has been instrumental in my growth. I don't think that I could have grown in the ways that I have if I hadn't stepped away from sex and physical intimacy. Now I feel like I have such a great control over my sexual urges, which feels so powerful. And I also have energy like I never have before, day to day. And I feel more confident, and I feel more myself, and I don't run away from my problems. There's so many things that it's helped me with. I know that I can't go back to that lifestyle because it was so terrible for my brain and my body and my soul. I'm probably going to make another video in a couple weeks, filling in the gaps with what I haven't said in this video, because there's a lot. I have so many thoughts on this. But if you're out there and you're struggling with lust, there is a way out. And on the other side, when you have control over it, you really do become a better person. You feel more like yourself. And so don't stop trying to stop, because it's 1,000,000% worth it. You will begin to grow into the man that you want to be. Do whatever it takes. I had to go through a year of celibacy, and in no way, shape, or form was that easy. I have much less of an attachment now to girls, and I know that what I'm looking for is something long-term, a relationship that can help me prosper and continue to be the man that I am. And I want to give that partner loyalty, respect, admiration. And these are all things that come in their truest forms when I'm not self-gratifying or watching porn. And I don't want physical intimacy to be a cover-up for the feelings that I'm lacking. And I don't want to mistake physical intimacy for love. I want to know in my heart that what I feel towards my partner is true love, regardless of the physical intimacy. I know that was a lot, but that's been weighing on my mind since my celibacy technically ends in 2 weeks. And it's a weird feeling inside because I'm scared. There's a fear inside of me that, what if I go back to my old ways? But I know that I'm not. I know that I'm not. But there's always that what if, because I know that I'm not, because I hated that version of myself. But I feel so confident that I have such great control over my lust and my sexual desires. So it's gonna be weird to know that I can have sex, but choose not to have it for the sake of my character and my manlyhood. That's it for now on the celibacy and my whole sexual messed up journey, because I gotta get back to work. So I've been thinking about it all day, and if I'm being honest, I'm really anxious and scared to put out this video tomorrow. I really don't know how it's going to be received, and not only that, I've never been so open in such a public way in my life before. You know, let alone with my family and friends, but here I am verbalizing and expressing the things that I have struggled with the most in the past, and these are some pretty dark things about me. I'm nervous. It may not even be seen by many people at all, right? Most of my videos get like 3 to 5 views, so okay, 5 people see it, but even then, that's scary. It's like, it really is, like, anybody knowing this about me is scary. But I committed to being open and honest and fully transparent with everything going on in my life, my thoughts on this channel. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep that promise. And yeah, this is me doing that. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow when I post. But yeah, extremely nervous, and hopefully people don't make fun of me. Yeah, gotta go to bed now. Good night.